Chapter 30. Heavenly Destruction Stone. Brother-in-law, you've achieved great success with your blade technique. Long Wenyu shouted excitedly. Great accomplishment. Maybe. It's just that the sword is a little bit not working. It needs to be reforged back. Gu Hai shook his head and said, Hey, brother-in-law, don't you have a powerful absolute life blade? Why do you still need to forge it? Long Wenyu said in surprise. Gu Hai faintly burst into a bitter smile. Indeed, the absolute life blade should be able to withstand the Zhou Qiasan, but with the absolute life blade, how else can you refine the blade technique? Although the Zhou heavenly blade technique was created, but it still needed to be constantly familiarized with it, so that each swing of the blade would become an instinct, instead of having to think about it every time. With the absolute life blade, that blade method don't practice. The moment the powerful attributes come out, all blade methods give way. Once the countless black gas skeletons came out, there was no need to do too much on one's own. Gu Hai understood that the blade technique wasn't useless, it just hadn't reached a realm yet, so it had to be practiced. One couldn't think of the Jedi life blade for everything. Jedi life blade, don't really want to use it. Gu Hai explained. That's also true. The Jedi life blade is quite ugly looking. Long Wenyu nodded blankly. Gu Hai, right, brother-in-law. What kind of knife do you like? I'll help you choose it next time I go to the old man's treasure trove. Long Wenyu instantly said excitedly. Gu Hai was slightly stunned. Suddenly, he remembered the blood knife from the past. When Long Wanqing gave it to himself, he said that his sister had taken it out of the great Chen sage's treasury. Thinking of this, Gu Hai oddly looked at Long Wenyu. The great Chen sage also still really favored her too much. The treasure vault allowed Long Wenyu to come and go as she pleased and take as she pleased. No need. I'll forge it myself. The new blade doesn't need any particularly powerful attributes, as long as it's particularly sturdy. Gu Hai shook his head and said, Sturdy. Demon Ghost Spirit. What is the strongest metal in this world that can forge a knife from my brother-in-law? Long Wenyu instantly shouted to his heart. Demon Ghost Spirit. Asking you. Speak quickly, Long Wenyu shouted. Sturdy. Where is the strongest metal? Oh. Every metal has its own different characteristics. There is no strongest, only stronger. Cast the sword. Choose it yourself depending on your needs. The Demon Ghost Spirit said indifferently. Hey, what's the point of telling a big story? If you don't know, just say you don't know, really. Talking to me all day about how powerful you are and how much you know. Ask you about something and immediately you don't know anything. Long Wenyu rolled her eyes. Demon Ghost Spirit was so depressed that he was going to vomit blood. I'm telling the truth, okay? This world doesn't have the strongest hardness, toughness, corrosion resistance, melting point, freezing point, each different, involving a lot of knowledge, are not the same, okay? However, Long Wenyu had already decided that Demon Ghost Spirit was ignorant. Demon Ghost Spirit got a burst of suffocating. How can he be so unlucky? How did it possess her body? Well, I know of a metal, whether I can find it or not. That's up to you. Want to hear it? The Demon Ghost Spirit grunted in anger. Who knows if you made it up on purpose? Don't puff up your face. If you don't know, you don't know. Where do you get so much nonsense? Love to say no, Long Wenyu said with a disdainful face. Demon Ghost Spirit was so depressed that he wanted to give his knees. Am I that uncouth? That's called the Heavenly Execution Stone, Demon Ghost Spirit explained. Heavenly Execution Stone. Yes, this kind of Heavenly Destruction Stone has its own consciousness, can swallow all kinds of metal, used to strengthen itself. The more and more kinds of metal it swallows, the more it befriends. As if the heavens can't see past it. Wherever it goes, the heavens will strike it with lightning. Anyway, this one is the most powerful. Gu Hai has to be able to do it. You want him to find it. Demon Ghost Spirit said in a deep voice. In the old man's treasury. Is there any? Longwen asked. No. Demon Ghost Spirit recalled. Make it up. You continue to make it up. You think I will believe it? Longwen had a disbelieving face. Demon Ghost Spirit suddenly felt an immense egg pain. Why do you not believe me when I tell the truth? Where is the most basic trust between people? Why am I trapped in Longwen body? Why am I so unlucky? Make up what? Guhai curiously said on the side. Guhai couldn't hear the dialogue between the two. It was only at the end when Longwen revealed that disdainful expression that he curiously looked over. Nothing. Just now and Demon Ghost Spirit talked for a while. He a liar. Pretending to be very learned. I asked him what metal he used to refine the knife is the most powerful. He said something about Heavenly Destruction Stone, but also said that the Heavenly Destruction Stone will eat the metal by itself. The more it eats, the more powerful it is. It also said that the heavens are jealous of it, and the heavens strike it with thunder. Longwen said with a disdainful face. The heavens are jealous of the Heaven Execution Stone. Guhai was stunned. I didn't say that the heavens are jealous. I didn't say that. Longwen, just introduce it. Don't just change the words for me or. Demon Ghost Spirit wanted to cry. Of course Longwen ignored Demon Ghost Spirit, and Guhai couldn't hear him. Brother-in-law, don't listen to him. He's just a flake. He doesn't have much ability himself, and he pretends to be an old man all day long. And he still thinks I'll believe it. Brother-in-law, don't mind him, Longwen disdainfully said. Demon Ghost Spirit. Why is he so unlucky? Guhai nodded. On the side, Meng Tai and Gao Xianzi were the ones who came forward. Greetings to the Emperor. Congratulations on the great success of the Emperor's sword technique, Gao Xianzi respectfully said. Greetings, Your Majesty. The micro chain came late. I hope Your Majesty will forgive me, Meng Tai also respectfully said. It's good that you're here. Let's go. Follow me back to the Imperial Palace and tell me about the recent situation of the Brocade Guards. Guhai laughed. Yes, Meng Tai answered. A group of people stepped onto the Immortal crane car and flew towards the Imperial Palace, Meng Tai all the way. Constantly excited to introduce his Brocade Guards. After all, these days, he hadn't delayed at all. He kept recruiting and training people. The number of Brocade Guards had expanded by countless. All along the way, Guhai listened patiently, and only when he was about to arrive at the Imperial Palace did Guhai nod his head and said, overall, it's okay, but each Brocade Guards needs to be strictly selected. So we can't allow individual black sheep to ruin the justice of the entire Brocade Guards. Yes, Meng Tai answered. This time, you were recruited to come here. That is, you need the Brocade Close Guards to spread out to the 24 cities. At the same time, the Brocade Guards will be split into another external branch, Guhai said in a deep voice. Oh, for the domestic to monitor the world, and for the foreign to be responsible for collecting the world's intelligence. I need you to continue to rapidly expand the Brocade Guards, and make a Brocade Guards expansion report to me, Guhai said in a deep voice. Yes, Meng Tai pressed his excitement and said, not only monitoring the world, but the Emperor has given himself authority again. Collecting intelligence outside of the Great Han Dynasty. Meng Tai rubbed his fists. A burst of excitement. Your Majesty, the expansion requires a large amount of spirit stones. That's spirit stones. So I want you to make a report to me. I'll give you a grant, as long as the Brocade Guards do a good job and have enough valuable things to send. I won't begrudge any spirit stones. How many I want? I'll give you as many as you want, Guhai said in a deep voice. Yes, Meng Tai answered. Whew. The Immortal crane caravan of the group landed at the Imperial Palace Square. Not far away, Bingji instantly walked quickly. Your Majesty, Bingji frowned. Guhai looked at Bingji suspiciously. I went to the Ministry of Revenue to withdraw money. The Ministry of Revenue told me to save. will the spirit stones not be able to keep up? I can't afford to cut off this post-disaster reconstruction. Bingji was worried. Don't worry, post-disaster reconstruction can't be stopped, Guhai laughed. But I heard that the 12 cities that have just been conquered, the emperor used all their tax revenue for the local livelihoods. And the people of Chaos City spirit stones to the emperor to deal with the fire locust god in the first place. And the emperor promised to return all of them. So for the rest of the cities, are the tax revenues enough to operate so many cities? Bingji worried. Don't worry, in a few days, the Royal Casino Resort will be opened all over the 24 cities and pools. By then, there will be enough spirit stones. Guhai shook his head and said, Bingji was slightly stunned. It was only then that she remembered the scene on the 9-5 Islands back then, the Royal Casino Resort. That was a gold-swallowing divine beast. Nowadays, it was going to be fully rolled out. Moreover, the first building on this street was also stationed in all the major cities, all of which were powerful gold-sucking artifacts and would still be worried about not having enough spirit stones. It's my minister who was overthinking it. Bingji laughed bitterly. Guhai nodded and did not blame. Bingji continued to go in charge of post-disaster reconstruction. At the Imperial Palace, Guhai summoned the ministers to a court meeting. After dealing with some political affairs, he then introduced Meng Tai to the group of ministers. The brocade guards officially began to station in the 24 cities. Under Guhai's operation, in just 3 months, the Great Han Dynasty had already seen a big upturn, and differences visible to the people's naked eyes had appeared. Chaos City's city formation, everything has been repaired, the injured people all properly arranged. The first floor of this street, the Royal Casino Resort, absorbed a large number of spirit stones. Part of the transport back to the 9-5 Islands to the ancient Qin array, part of the government, the army's operation, part of the ancient sea storage, and a large portion of the all for the livelihood of the people. The people looked at the constant changes around them and suddenly recognized the Great Han Dynasty in countless ways. This is an emperor who can make money, an emperor who is willing to spend money for the people. The people naturally recognized Guhai more and more. So boring, brother-in-law, every day in your Chaos City. I'm tired of playing. Some time ago, the Royal Casino was opened. I went to play for a while. It's so meaningless, Longwinyu said with boredom. Guhai looked at Longwinyu, a slight bitter smile. Of course you think it's meaningless, a prophet going to gamble. Who can gamble better than you? Brother-in-law, why don't you take me out to play? The old man didn't say he wouldn't let me go out with you either. Longwinyu said expectantly. Guhai was about to say something. Your Majesty. A shout came steeply from outside the study. Come in, Guhai said in a deep voice. However, it was a black-robed man who slowly walked into the study. Rulu, you've broken through as well, Guhai said in a deep voice. The black-robed man respectfully said, yes, my subordinate made a breakthrough, so my body can take shape like the Supreme Being did in the beginning. That's good. What is it? Guhai said doubtfully. The black-robed man was silent for a while and said, Your Majesty, I don't know about your hatred towards the Supreme Being. Faux Stone God's revenge. I will definitely avenge it, don't worry. What do I remember? The enemy is the former emperor of the Great Huang Dynasty, He Yan. Didn't I send you guys to investigate? Guhai solemnly said. Yes, there is news, Giant Foot said in a deep voice. Oh, Guhai's eyes narrowed slightly. Your Majesty still remembers the Death Grave Valley, Rulu said in a deep voice. Back then, when Huangfu Keoj was poisoned by the drought demon fire poison, I captured the fire locust god, and he said that the fire poison came from that Death Grave Valley. Guhai frowned. Yes, just got the news. Nowadays the Death Grave Valley was cast as a city. Legend has it that the sound of dragon's roar often comes from inside. It seems that a new dragon vein is going to be born. Countless cultivators run to it, wanting to fight for the dragon vein. And now people, we saw He Yan's figure there. Giant foothills solemnly said, Death Grave Valley, Dragon Vein. Gu Hai raised an eyebrow, remembering that dragon vein of his. When the news of the dragon vein of the 9-5 Islands came out, it had attracted many strong people to come forward. Now there was another dragon vein to be born. Yes, that city that was just forged was named Dragon Vein City. Your Majesty, our great enemy is there. We, He Yan, the lower heavenly palace's absolute strongest, we are incompetent. But the Supreme Lord's revenge cannot go unrevenged. Your Majesty, I implore you to avenge the Supreme Lord's death. Giant Fall knelt down.